And remember when Jim Jones went on podcasts last year claiming Chrissy held me down through everything when he dubbed her his day one bro? He didn't know about Reggie, the baby, the calls, or at least he didn't know until today. And this isn't just nasty. It could be illegal because if the court validates the recording, Chrissy may face penalties for lying, hiding evidence, and potentially even risking a federal probe, all because she handled a prison call like a therapy session with her side boyfriend. But guess what? Right as court was being eaved, a man's spirit leave his body in real time, not in a movie or on TV, but live in court. Because what transpired between Jim Jones Camron and Chrissy Lampkin didn't simply rock the courtroom. Ruined hip-hop's reputation, like a wrecking ball through velvet ropes. Imagine this. Camron walking into court, like it's a red carpet. Smooth cocky, clutching a USB, like it's some CIA level top secret drop. One click, and immediately the courtroom is filled with Chrissy's prison. Calls loud and crystal clear. 2 minutes in, and Jim Jones falls like someone just yanked the plug on him, full reality. What was on those tapes? Who the heck was she chatting to in the dark? And why did Jim Jones crumple like the truth had blades? Oh, we're not just unpacking this. We're peeling it apart. Layer by layer, anonymous leaks, legal sabotage, a mother's rage, and a Harlem icon's public demise. This ain't gossip. This is straight-up warfare behind closed doors. And believe me, this isn't just scandalous. It's Shakespeare in the trap. Treachery, heartbreak, and a courtroom dripping with receipts. But wait, rewind, because this train crash didn't start with a judge's gavel. It's been for years. The courts was only the concluding act of this tragedy. With love and hip-hop producers chewing their nails and Dipset followers suffering anguish they never signed up for. Route 3 legends enmeshed in a love triangle of secrets. Jim Jones, Chrissy, and Camron, a Harlem horror story no one saw coming. And let's be honest, it wasn't just about love. It was about deceit and allegiance. With leverage, here's how the dominoes fell according to a courthouse leak, and you already know someone snitched for a text back in a snapshot. Prosecutors had been discreetly watching Chrissy's mysterious jailhouse conversations from last year. Remember when she got jailed for that tax mishap? Yeah, turns out it was just the smokescreen. But the plot twist, Camron somehow gained access to Chrissy's private recordings from jail. How did he obtain them? Some believe he bribed off a guard, but others say he's been gathering material since Obama's first term, just waiting to unleash the bomb. According to sources, Chrissy's voice rang through the courtroom speakers, but she wasn't discussing legal matters. Defense or phoning her parents? Oh no, she was mumbling sweet nothings to a man named Reggie. You read that correctly? Who the heck is Reggie from the tape? He was her piece, her backup plan, the one who knew. About the baby, the man who never judged her, the man who wouldn't let her rot in jail like Jim Jones. That's not a twist, that's a detonation, and don't get it confused. This wasn't TikTok, drama. There were reporters, a full jury box, and even Mona Scott herself sat in row 3 with her phone out, filming the precise when Chrissy spoke the sentence, "Jim Jones can't ever find out about Reggie Boom." Jim Jones drove up to court, dripping like Harlem royalty, leather on shades, locked chain, glittering like he was ready for a picture session. But the instant Chrissy's voice uttered Reggie, he struck the ground like a ghost went through him. One observer claimed it appeared like someone informed Jim Jones his entire life was at 1 minute he was standing firm. The next, he was a headline. Emmets were summoned. The judge exited the room. Chrissy didn't blink, and Cam reclined back like he just struck a game-winning shot. Madison Square Garden, and don't forget Jim Jones and Camron haven't been cool in decades. This wasn't just petty, it was calculated. Cam didn't show there to expose Chrissy. He came to Jim Jones. This wasn't chess, it was checkmate. Now let's dive into what Chrissy Lampkin really said in those conversations. Call 1 was made 48 hours after she was locked up. Chrissy Lampkin informed Reggie Jim Jones, "I'm in here fussing over him, but he never really knew me. You always kept things genuine." Even worse, if they test the baby's DNA, it's done. But Jim Jones doesn't ask questions. He simply performs. stated that on tape with the stenographer stopping like, "You want me to type what?" Actuated while Jim Jones was being checked for vitals. A fourth call was played by Chrissy Lampkin. "Cam has been waiting to see me fall since 2012, so let him take his shot." Translation: she knew the storm was coming and welcomed by the end of the day. Hashtags like Shuck Reggie Exposed, Shaky Free Jim Jones, and Soccer Chrissy Lampkin files were everywhere, leaving fans torn between laughing and crying. Cancel their HBO membership because this courtroom drama had more heat than a June Vera's, and just when you thought it was done, Mama Jones appeared. That's correct. Jim's mother entered the courthouse. Like the last boss in a battle game, the second, she found out why her kid passed out. Chrissy Lampkin should have lawyered up twice when Mama Jones stepped through the door. Altered court police froze, phones dropped. Someone stated they heard a choir in the background, and the time slapped a clock. And I'm just saying, supposedly, since the courtroom footage, Mama Jones marched straight up to Chrissy Lampkin, didn't say anything, and slapped her so hard that the echo rebounded from the courthouse walls as if it were part of the official evidence. One person in the rear murmured, "It sounded like lightning." Hit the building. Everyone immediately stopped. Chrissy Lampkin didn't react, just blinked real slow. But here's where it gets real crazy after the smack. Mama Jones said one thing that's for lying about the baby. No shouting, no explanation, just that mic dropped. Chrissy Lampkin didn't answer. She simply fired a glance at the judge like, "So you're not going to cover?" But let's keep it real. Even if the judge seemed shook, you don't throw shackles on Mama Jones and pray she doesn't. Flip. The full courtroom security raced in to separate them quickly, but the time had already arrived. By the time Jim Jones arrived in the medical room, Chrissy Lampkin was already trending, and memes were spreading like wildfire. One depicted her, in jail, saying, "So Reggie, do you have a storyline or not?" Another image depicted Mama Jones with a forged quotation that stated, "I've been waiting to do it since 2009. But hang on, this ain't even the wildest part. When the court returned to session later that day, the prosecution dismissed all 4 jail calls that Camron presented, 2 of which were fresh new. Chrissy Lampkin is heard saying, "Reggie, if I go down, I'll be dragging Jim Jones with me. I've been cleaning up after him for years." Wait, what does that mean? The prosecution didn't waste a second and raced with it like it was a touchdown. Sources claim Chrissy's legal team sought to stop the film, arguing she was emotionally strained and just venting. But the DA said that it pointed at something much deeper, possibly fraud, tax things, even misuse of love and hip-hop production monies, which is why it's gone to court. Insiders say there's documentation dating back in Season 3 showing Chrissy Lampkin identified as a creative consultant and getting paid for shows she didn't even show up for. Worse, a leaked document appeared on Twitter minutes after court shows. She collected over $75,000 in incentives, all paid out through a firm named Hustle Forever Entertainment LLC. Guess who co-founded that company? Jim Jones. Now, this isn't just about romantic drama. It's beginning to appear like a full-fledged reality TV fraud case with sham firms, dodgy producers, bogus job titles, and the DA they're digging deep. Rumor is that an internal inquiry has quietly began, and one of the names popping up is Mona Scott herself. Follow the money, and it supposedly leads to a never-shot spin-off series. Chrissy's attorneys attempted to prevent Camron from taking the witness stand. Calling him bitter and prejudiced judge said no, so Camron got up there and let it all out. I know I remained quiet out of respect, but when I saw Jim Jones supporting her like she was a victim, I couldn't let it go. "That slide," he said. "She'd been running game from day one. That ain't love, that's a long con." And before the defenders could even argue, Cam smacked him with more bombs. "She told me back in 2018 she was done pretending she meant the relationship, but I didn't know she meant the baby too." The whole courtroom gasped, and even the judge had to pause and call for recess. Jim Jones was back in the courtroom by then, pale, mute, and devastated, simply sitting there, eyes down, like a guy watching his whole life come apart in real time. Chrissy Lampkin didn't look his way once. Just continued speaking to her attorney like they were contesting a parking ticket outside the courthouse. Commotion ensued. Protesters showed up with posters that read, "Justice for Jim Chrissy. Lampkin lied. We screamed Mama Jones was correct." And the blogs, well, they didn't just catch fire. They exploded. Darkroom Baylor Alert Hollywood Unlocked, all in full-blown crisis mode, dropping exclusives every 5 minutes. Like it was the OJ trial revived one unnamed former love, and the hip-hop producer leaked to a tabloid. We already knew Chrissy Lampkin played chess, but we didn't aware she rigged the board. Even Remy Ma apparently poured shade, posting then deleting a cryptic IG story, "That's why you don't give jailbirds a mic." And don't even get me started on the fans' Twitter went into "in a digital battle zone." Somebody said, "I knew she was shady the day she got down on one knee." Jim Jones has been under a spell since 2010. Somebody help him. Meanwhile, Camron, deep in his petty villain phase, went live outside the courthouse grinning with the caption told y'all, "I don't miss this wasn't just a controversy, legacy assassination." Jim Jones isn't some up-and-coming rapper. He's a Harlem monument, a Dipset monarch. The man who gave us We Fly High is now trending for justice. Betrayal, treachery, and a scandal so deep it's rewriting history. And the most terrifying part is that it's not done since the DA just revealed fresh witnesses due to take the testimony next week. And if even a percentage of the stories are real, we're looking at more than tabloid drama. We're talking about heat fraud, perjury, and wiretaps, all triggered by one jailhouse conversation to some man named Reggie. Probably fixes mufflers at AutoZone and had no idea he'd become Harlem's most disliked. And just when folks believed, things couldn't get messier owing to fresh evidence and many current charges, Chrissy Lampkin is now officially being investigated for conspiracy to commit fraud and obstruction of justice. A circus security raced in, screams rang, and the judge slammed her gavel like she was calling Game 7. But that fainting spell was just Act 1, and what comes next has fans fired up. With former pals all questioning, what's real, what's a setup, and who's left standing after the smoke clears? This is not your typical reality TV catastrophe. This is a multi-million-dollar collapse with legal vultures circling reputations disintegrating and the love and hip-hop empire hanging on a thread. Let's break down what's next. And believe me, it's not just nasty, it's career-ending. First and foremost, the feds aren't sitting on the sidelines anymore. They've formally begun an investigation, which isn't surprising given those jail calls. Court full of conspiracy, hush-money discussion, and ugly secrets. It wasn't just hearsay, it became proof word, is that the FBI's cybercrime branch is already tracking. An individual familiar to the matter stated, "This isn't just about phone calls. We're looking at wire fraud. Obstruction and tampering, if they link the dots, heads will roll while Jim Jones was out cold." The courthouse floor's Camron was busy playing puppet master. Some believe he timed the leak to flip the he presenting himself as the truth teller of this whole complicated tale. But Chrissy's team isn't having it. They're charging Camron of unlawfully getting the videos and breaking her privacy regulations. Chrissy's legal team has already hinted to a countersuit charging defamation, harassment, and deliberate emotional harm. One of Chrissy's lawyers even referred to it as a desperate play from who's neck deep in the same falsehoods. But here's where things get really twisted. Numerous legal specialists believe Camron could have just played it smart by dropping those calls in open court, prompted the prosecution to change attention from Jim's guilt to who's behind this whole mess. Suddenly, it's not about who lied, it's about who covered it up, and the streets are eating it up. Twitter has gone volcanic, with hashtags like Char. Justice for Jim Camron exposes and the coming Cherisygate rising globally. Fans are split like no before. Before the fights, memes, hypotheses, and mayhem, one viral tweet reads, "Jim Jones fainted because he realized his entire career was built on Chrissy's lies. Cam just knocked over the house of cards." Another fan created a TikTok of cartoon, Jim Jones collapsing in slow-mo to opera music, and it's already clocked millions of views. Even other stars are pitching in some. throwing smooth shade in interviews, some unfollowing, discreetly trying not to get caught in the blast zone, and this conflict isn't just emotional. Money sponsors are bailing away. Advertisers are worried. The Love and Hip Hop brand has allegedly lost millions in collaborations, partnerships, and retail sales since the controversy surfaced. And source from the marketing team informed us, no brand wants their name linked to this degree of poison. It's PR suicide. We're hemorrhaging money. Even Jim's personal income is in freefall. Bookings, Can Be endorsements are falling. Promoters are ghosting. And the ripple effect is terrible and only getting worse. Meanwhile, Chrissy Lampkin has gone silent, with no public remarks or interviews. Guilt. Some think it's strategy. Is she hammering out a plea deal, switching on someone larger, or is her team ready to fight back? One thing is certain, she isn't done, and neither is this. Yet, whatever the case, Chrissy's fans are out in full force, starting fierce internet campaigns to restore Chrissy's image. They argue she's only the next victim in a filthy smear campaign dreamed up by envious insiders with scores to settle and secrets to hide. But mind the noise. Let's speak about the ticking time bomb that strange youngster stated in those jail conversations. If that paternity controversy bursts into another judicial face-off and those DNA findings leak, we're staring at a full-blown media earthquake. This ain't reality TV. It's a soap opera on steroids. While behind the scenes, absolute fear, insiders claim the whole Love and Hip Hop production staff is spinning. Emergency meetings, damage control, and whispered conversations about postponing, or maybe completely abandoning future seasons. Music. Entirely one anonymous crew member put. To put it frankly, they're talking about cast purges, huge screenplay rewrites, and even a complete reboot. But let's be honest, with this much filth in the air, can anything clean this mess up? And if the series fails, it won't just be the celebs taking the L. Hundreds of staff people, local businesses, and entire production teams will lose their baggage. The repercussions is serious, so strap up because this legal conflict is only warming up. Sealed records might escape any minute. Courtroom battles are growing nastier, and social media is merely adding fuel to the flames. Let's be honest. This whole story just rewrote the textbook on celebrity meltdowns, emotional breakdowns, treachery, prison calls, DNA drama, and yes, Jim Jones crying on television. Couldn't write this disaster if you tried, and just when you thought it couldn't get uglier. Rumor on the street is that a whistleblower from VH1 has revealed a list of cast members subpoenaed. Now it's your time to determine whose name was highlighted in red. Was Camron a genius for dropping those jail calls? Or did he cross a line that may backfire? Is Jim Jones concealing something? Dark, or was that fainting moment just the beginning of a deeper collapse? And what about Chrissy Lampkin puppet master? Or pawn caught in the crossfire? I want your hottest thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back, tell me who you're backing, who's getting revealed next, and what twist you believe is about to tip this narrative on its head. And if this drama has you rattled, smack that like button like it owes you. Subscribe to Child Support. And ring that bell because believe me, tea is still steeping, and we are just getting started. This isn't merely controversy. This is history in the making. And you're right here for every damn drop.